Good afternoon, Mr. Turnoy, Mr. Kim, and fellow students. I am the second speaker, Cho Young-hee. The first presenter talked about the biopsychological causes of suicide, and following, I will talk about the social causes of suicide. In specific, I divided my speech into three parts, which are social causes, economic causes, and cultural causes of suicide. First, I would like to talk about the social part. This first social cause of suicide is low employment rate. So according to an article of Herald Court newspaper written at January 17, 2013, the suicide rate caused by the unemployment of people in ages of 20s was about 30%. So this means that 1% out of 3 people who are seeking a job commit suicide because of the stress that they are not being employed. And they were also feeling extreme anxiety, pressure, and had pessimistic views of their situations, and eventually thought about suicide. Then what about the suicide of people in the ages of 70s or more? The main cause of their suicide was because they felt isolated from the society. The society's indifference to them and the sense of relative deprivation, which is 상대적 박탈감 in Korean, was the main factor why they committed suicide. This is a serious social problem because there are so many senior citizens who lives alone without family these days, and those people are the targets of protection from the negative thoughts. So this was my first topic about social causes, and I would like to jump on to the economic reasons of suicide. As you all know, the most popular reason for people's suicide is the economic difficulties, the economic poverty. I found a good research conducted by the Statistics Korea at 2011. The rate of elderly poverty was about 45%, which ranked the top among OECD countries. This means that almost about half of the elderly people in Korea were in poverty, and those people were in very vulnerable state to commit suicide. Many people in the 20s and 30s also commit suicide in a high rate in Korea, and it is often seen family suicides where they suffered from extreme poverty. Lastly, I would like to talk about the cultural causes. I will talk about the copycat suicide and people's value system about suicide. Have you heard about copycat suicide? Or the Werther effect? In Korean, it's Pareto effect. Yes, I see some of you. And this is that when a celebrity or a famous figure commits suicide, ordinary people or the citizens get influenced by their death and commit the same suicide in the same method. So we can see this in an example of Cho Sung-min, who was the famous baseball player and also the ex-husband of Choi Jin-shin. So when he committed suicide, 10 people in Busan also took their lives by the same way Cho Sung-min died. So this is a very serious problem and a very serious cultural problem these days. Moreover, I like to point out the people's value systems of suicide. So what I mean by the value system is the people's thoughts or consideration upon something. And I think people these days lack in the attention of how much suicide is a dangerous and serious problem. For example, there is even a rock band named Suicidal Tendencies in the United States. So that is the name of a rock band. If we think about the influences that these culture give to our people, it is a very serious problem these days. So that was about the cultural causes for suicide. To sum up my presentation, I talked about 3 topics, which were social, economic, and cultural causes of suicide. And the last presenter will talk about the preventions of people committing suicide. Thank you for listening.